Hello, Piney sixth graders, and good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Hopefully, not good night. Y'all should be getting some sleep, depending on when you're watching this. So, folks, hey, we took a one lesson pause from weather when we talked about the Earth Day theme of reducing plastic pollution. Thank you to those of you who did that assignment. I got some great written answers on that. Thank you. I really do like those open-ended Edpuzzle assignment things. It lets me leave comments and things like that. So in the future, I'll do a little bit of that. Not all the time, but we're definitely going to mix it in. So we're back on weather today. What we'll be doing with weather is continuing with what we talked about previously, air masses. All right, so air masses, just in case you can't remember, right, on planet Earth, and oh boy, here we go. So I lost, being at home, teaching from home, that green balloon I used for a globe. So I went digging out in my garage and we had this big blue and green ball, and that's the best I can do. So my North America on this is pretty terrible. Cut me some slack. We have Mexico down south with here's the US with Florida sticking out and then Canada up north. Even looking at it here, it bothers me, but it was the best I could do with a Sharpie quickly. So here's the thing, right? We talked about how where air sits for a while will affect that air. Okay, so if air sits for a while over Canada, it's going to be cold and it's going to be dry. If air sits for a while over the Gulf of Mexico, it's going to be warm and it's going to be very humid. Okay, and then it can be different too. Like if it sits in the North Pacific over here, it's going to be cold and wet. And if it sits over like continental Mexico, right, over the land, it's going to be dry and warm. So really, there's only two things you need to keep track of. Did it form over an ocean? If the answer is yes, that air is going to be very humid. And did it form near a pole? Well, it'll be cold. If it formed near the equator, it'll be warm. Okay, so we don't want to overthink that too much. If you can answer, did it form up here or down here? That'll tell you the temperature. And if it formed over land or over an ocean, that will tell you whether or not it's humid. Okay, now when we have like really dry, cool air, that means that we're in a cold and continental air mass. Okay, so that would be like continental polar. Okay, now as you know, if you were paying attention last night, though, right, sometimes weather can change. It can turn almost a little violent. I heard there was a little bit of hail at some spots in Wentzville last night. So the word for when weather changes quickly, we call that a front. Okay, it takes its name after the lines in military battles where two armies were charging against each other. We called that a front. Well, that's a good name for it because what you have at a front is two air masses doing battle. Remember, air is a fluid. Fluids can flow. Okay, so the last couple of days, not counting today, you'll notice, oh, the weather's nice and calm. It's nice and sunny. We were sitting in a nice warm air mass. Okay, that was perched over Missouri. But then if you were paying attention yesterday evening, you noticed that another air mass shoved its way in. Okay, so what happens when, for example, you have a nice warm air mass sitting over the central United States where we are, and a colder air mass from, say, Canada bulldozes its way in? Well, what happened last night is what happens, right? Or, another weather example, what happens if you might have cooler air sitting over us and then warm air pushes in from down south? Guys, air moves. These air masses move. Okay, so understanding fronts, okay, is our next challenge. And we have two short Edpuzzle videos to help with that. The first one I would watch is the one that has an aquarium with red and blue water. That's going to remind us what happened when cold fluids and warm fluids meet. And it's important to watch that one first. Okay, the second one that I would suggest watching is what happens at a cold front. Okay, short answer, what happened last night. But long answer is we'll understand the science behind it. So watch both of those. They do ask you to give kind of summaries at the end. I'm sticking with the open-ended question things for today. So if you want to jot down a few little helpful notes during the video, that could help you. You could also just click the rewatch button. Each video is shorter than 5 minutes, so even if you have to rewatch both of them, it's not a ton of work. Right, so that's what I'm going to have you work on for today. As always, if you have any questions or comments, shoot me an email. I did grade those ed puzzles from last time, and when it's open-ended questions, I have to click through question by question and approve it. But I actually really like that. I get to see what y'all were doing, and I tried to leave comments on especially your last ones if those were really well said. So go in and try to find those comments. I'm not quite sure what that looks like on the student end. I may have to experiment a little bit with that. So hopefully those are easy for you to see. All right. Hey, I hope to see you all Thursday. Remember, I'm joining Mr. Cleveland on his chats, so pop into those, and it'd be great to see you. And well, my daughter is taking a new interest in these lessons, right? She saw me like getting dressed in my nicer clothes for this. And she goes, Daddy, next time, bow tie. Bow tie, please. Okay. I love this next right there. Okay, so she put in a request for a bow tie, and seeing as how she's really been pretty good as we've been doing school at home together, I think that'll win. So that's what I'll wear. All right, folks. Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, again, shoot me that email. Watch those ed puzzles, learn a bunch of good stuff, and hopefully I'll see you on the Zoom chats. Take care.